Alright, this is going to be finally, a Yorick VoD review for Wicked Gaze. This is a silver game, high bronze, low silver. As you can see, the ranks are a little spread out, so you could say this is a silver game. The important things to note just before we look into the video, looking at all your runes and whatnot, this is pretty standard. You know, this is the most common stuff. So what you have is pretty standard, but we're going to go into why Demolish may not be the best, specifically in your game. And I also think that you should be taking Bloodline instead of Alacrity. Now, it looks like this is most popular, right? Like everybody uses it. You don't see any Bloodline in here. But if we look at the top Yorick players in NA, here's Z3 Sleeper. Here he is right here. And here's a Yorick game in his match history. Not only does he take Bloodline, he takes Last Stand, but he also buys Lifesteal. So he has two sources of Lifesteal. So rather than playing meta, or what's most popular, and you see no Lifesteal in here, I think there's a slight disconnect. So what's most popular and most common isn't necessarily what's always best or optimal. And Lifesteal on Yorick, when you're snowballing, is incredibly strong because the Lifesteal becomes your tanky steroid. The more damage you do because you're fed, the more valuable the Lifesteal is. So you can really see how much he values it, having 18% Lifesteal with a Trinity Force at minute 14. It helps you snowball very hard because you'll kill somebody and then you'll sustain back up to full HP before the next person comes to get you. So they have to basically fight you from full health all over again. So with that in mind, I'm also going to look over at your graphs real quick. This is going to explain the effect kind of each individual death in your game. Some of the most consequential deaths, you can see where your graph kind of flattens out a little bit. This is your XP over time. Like, I think your most consequential deaths are at 21 minutes, 31 minutes, where we see how this flattens out, and then 17:23. So you can see it flattening out again right here. There's also a large flattening out right here in 9 minutes, and this is where you get first turret. So we're going to go into detail why this is a super important moment and why Demolish may not be that good, because it kind of has to be used properly. Getting towers is good, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This is pretty complicated without the context of the VoD. So without further ado, I think we can get right into it. Gotta make sure the windows are covered. And we're in. Now I've started at 15 seconds, and you run right out of the base at the start, which is nice to see. But the important thing to note here is that you run right to top lane, which is generally something you shouldn't do. Instead of running and defending your tower at level 1, you should be running and getting vision and defending the jungle buff instead. Because if they were to invade and take this, you wouldn't even know, since you're up here. I need to change my audio real quick. So we're just gonna let this go while I fix my audio. I think I might be echoing right now. All right. So I'm gonna slow this down just a bit and kind of talk about this matchup and how it should go. You with Conqueror are stronger than Mundo once the game goes on, because he builds tank, and then Conqueror with Trinity, you just destroy his tank stats. But in early lane, Conqueror bruisers tend to lose to a well-played, strong grasp bruiser, because Conqueror takes time to scale. Grasp is strong in lane. So with that said, you actually do quite well in lane, but I have a few timestamps specifically where I think were the biggest trades where you missed out the most and could have done better. But in general, the way this matchup goes is that you have to respect his grasp, and if he ever tries to commit too hard to a trade, you box him and throw all your ghouls at him and make him eat minion aggro. because Mundo has to spend health in order to do damage. So if he's spending health, taking minion aggro, and you're beating him up, and you're focusing him with ghouls and Conqueror, he can't really stand up to that. So I'll show you where you could have done that a little better. We're gonna 2x this until we get to 208. Because this is the first major trade, and this is actually a really good example of why Grasp tends to beat Conqueror early. There's also some mechanical mistakes on your part, but we're going to slow it down. Here we go. Now, he has bone plating and you don't, which is also important to note here. You took Demolish. So he is set up to win this trade. So he engages it, even though you have more minions, because he can muscle through this, thanks to Grasp and bone plating. Without Grasp and bone plating, he would get destroyed here. But he plays this well, and you also don't play it well. So we're going to play it nice and slow. You chip at him through his bone plating, and you chase this trade really hard, as you can see. And only finally do the minions stop hitting you. So we're going to play it one more time. Now he even misses an axe here. You swing for him, you trade back. And then you see all these minions that are hitting you right here. You walk back in, cancel an auto and miss, and you're still getting focused by minions here. Then he comes back in and returns another auto. Now if he were to land another one here with Grasp, instead of going for that minion there, then you lose even more health. So this could have been even worse for you. So we're just going to watch this one more time. In this situation, once you hit him, you should be disengaging. Just take the 1 or 2 hits and then walk backwards. But you get minion aggro and then try to re-chase, which ends up hurting you more than you hurt him. So that's one of the bigger trades, and then he returns again, but this is where you get some good return damage. But we're gonna let this play out until we hit 3 minutes. And this is gonna be a note on how to use Conqueror better.
First blood.
You miss an E right there. Generally, you want to be careful about how many of those you throw early game. They're expensive. 1 E is 2 Qs worth of mana. So right now you're kind of just building some graves, waiting to build up your next trade. And here we go. Now to use Conqueror, you would have wanted to start this trade with an auto attack sooner. Now it went pretty well, right? You did pretty good damage there and you out-traded him. But you probably could have killed him here if just a few little things were different. So we're going to slow it down.
Won't you join them?
The only problem here right now is that you actually don't have Conqueror. It ran out right before you started this trade. So watch very carefully down here in the bottom right, the timer on your Conqueror. Just ran out. Had you started the trade with the auto to proc your Conqueror and then Q, that way your Q is receiving the Conqueror amp, and then your ghouls also get the extra damage, I would say that you probably kill him or get his flash with another auto. You definitely kill him with a second auto right there. So we're going to watch one more time. Your Conqueror just falls off here. Gone. Right before you go for the all-in. So this was almost super clean and almost very good. With Conqueror, I'm pretty sure you would have killed him.
I thank you for your service.
So this kind of happens again at 429. So we're going to 2x until we get there. Another important thing to note here, before we skip forward to 429, is that your corrupting potion on this trade was actually slightly late. So we're going to go back and look at it just one more time, actually. This is where we make the difference. Had Conqueror not worn off,
to destroy the curse.
and I think if you drink this corruption potion sooner, I'll just show you how long it takes for you to drink it. You landed 2 full auto attacks before you started. You could even start drinking it as your E lands, because then it's going to proc sooner. So I think if you were to drink Corrupting Potion and not have your Conqueror fall off, he probably has to flash away here, at the very least. And we're going to run up into another part where I think you could use Conqueror a little better. And slowing it down and seeing everything a couple times over is just really what helps show you the difference in damage. So you get a decent trade there. Good poke. But here's the big one. I'm going to slow it down.
I must dig.
So you hit him with the E, and they do a lot of damage to him, right? He almost dies. So we're going to watch this one more time, but from the beginning. And what I mean by from the beginning is you don't have Conqueror ready, and then you take this farm, you just go for a random poke. So right now, you don't have Conqueror. You're finally building it back up, right here. But you never actually auto the Mundo. You need to auto the Mundo first before you send your ghouls to attack him, because Conqueror procs with your auto. And here's where we see it fall off again. It just fell off. So then you go for another trade on him, but it's without Conqueror and you didn't start it first. But look how low he gets. Right here. He was even lower a second ago. The Q got him back to full life, or it healed him. But if you hit him first to proc Conqueror, and then your ghouls jump on him, he's 100% dead. 100%. He would not have lived through that. An auto attack alone would have killed him here along with your ghouls. So if you had ghouls with true damage jumping on him after the fact, he's definitely dead. Alright, now this is actually what's coming up next is an important part about wave control. You almost have your Sheen here, so you're just using your Demolish, and now he starts to base. You could base right now and get your Sheen, that way you can teleport back in and be waiting for him. Now the reason why you should do this instead of waiting is because the sooner you use your TP, the sooner it comes off cooldown, so you want to match him early game. Pretty much it's standard that every top laner will teleport back to top at least once early game, because that first buy is so important. He gets his Bomby Cinder, you get your Sheen, so you get a little better than him. But you would want to teleport and come back here and actually not touch this minion wave. Reason being, back. If we stop and look at this wave right now, the state that it's in, it's slightly closer to his side of the map. If we draw a line down the middle of top lane, it's slightly closer to his side. And before that auto attack that you threw, and then this one, your minions were focusing one of his down even quicker. Or they were focusing yours down even quicker. You see, this one is what I'm talking about. This one's dying really quick, so his minion wave was going to overwhelm your minion wave without touching it. And that is exactly what you want it to do. Because not only did his minions kill one of your wave quicker, it's also closer to his side, which means it's going to reinforce sooner and it's going to hard push. Had you not focused and killed these minions, it's possible to think that they would have killed this minion as well before Mundo gets in. So you could have denied him more XP and already been back in lane waiting with your Sheen. But you teleport after he does, even though you already had the money for Sheen, and it's just a little late. This isn't a huge mistake, but all the little stuff adds up. Because right now you see that it's finally pushing. Because his reinforces sooner, and he had slightly one more than you because his kind of focused yours a little faster. But that's because they collided closer to his side of the map. Then you teleport back in. And we're kind of going to jump forward to 720 here. Farm this up, no big deal. Okay, so you lay your control ward that you bought, and then you kill this ward. Now this is, in general, not something you would want to do when the wave is pushing towards you, because once he pushes this in, he can just walk down here and kill this ward, and he gets XP and gold for killing it. Now you got some XP gold for killing his and clearing the vision, but him clearing your control ward has more value than you clearing just a regular old ward. Now this would be okay if you were pushing in on him, because he would be forced to go through you and your wave to come down and clear this ward. But because he's pushing on you, you could see how once you go up to farm again, he could just walk down and kill this with no repercussions. Now he doesn't do that, but the point still stands. You don't go put a control ward when you're about to get pushed in. There's also a note here on trading with your Sheen. You throw this W a little too early, but that's fine. Happens sometimes. But going forward here, you use Awakening, which gives you a Sheen proc. You then auto a minion with this Sheen proc, instead of hitting the Mundo that's right in front of you. Now you could have auto Q'd him as well, which would have been good damage. And then had a second auto potentially here, like with your Q, that you didn't even use. So you could have gotten 2 Sheen procs on him in a trade, and instead you got 0. So you just generally want to fight back against what is more or less a free trade like this. You don't want to give those up. And now we're going to jump to what I believe is another potential kill. If you use Conqueror a little better, because Conqueror's OP. And slow it down. Okay, so pretty good, right? But here we go. We pause right now. You're at the point where you need to proc your Conqueror, right? It's ready to be procced. And then you drop your ring. You cancel this auto attack, unfortunately, which is actually very important. Then you throw your Q. You want to auto him first and then Q, because you want that extra true damage and extra AD on your Q, on your Sheen. So that canceled auto attack actually cost you a lot. So you only finally proc Conqueror here with your first hit. And then you have to go through his bone plating. And I think you actually only got 1 Sheen proc in that whole combo here. We're going to watch it one more time just to make sure. What you're really looking for in a trade is to try to get 2 Conqueror enhanced Sheen autos. So there's your first Sheen proc, non-Conqueror, because you didn't auto him first. Cast your R. And you do land a second Sheen proc. So you land 1 with Conqueror and 1 without. It happened to be your Q. But ideally you want to land your Q with the Conqueror buff. So that first auto is super important. I think if you proc Conqueror and then land that full combo here, probably all in him and kill him. But he barely gets out. Then he flashes away. You finish him anyway, which is nice. But I think you probably didn't need flash to secure this kill. Maybe you still would have, but this is what I mean by all the little things adding up. Now you actually take the turret here. But this is where we get to where we said, remember when your bar flattens out at level, or at 9 minutes, because you don't get to farm for a long time? Demolish is why. You kind of take this turret too soon. If this turret kill would have given you the gold you need to finish Trinity Force, then that's okay. But laning phase is kind of not over yet, and you're a little too excited to take this turret, and the repercussions are actually that you cut yourself off from farm. Because you take this turret, and you see how many of your minions are still alive, about to have more come in and reinforce them. So you take the tower. Your minions absolutely decimate your CS. Look how many blue CS you're not getting right now. Your minions are killing everything, and you need these CS. Early game CS and early game XP are more important than anything. So we're going to keep watching. We're going to look at how much of the CS you don't get, because you're still not here. Still dying. Now you took that turret at 9 minutes. It's been a full minute. And here you finally get back to lane. Now we're going to watch how this is different if you don't take this turret so early. What happens instead, if you walk away when it has, say, maybe about this much health, maybe a little sooner, you let this turret live so that it stays alive and kills all of these CS that end up basically taking your CS from you. So that gold that you get for killing the turret, you could have gotten more gold in extended laning phase and denied this Mundo more gold by keeping the turret up. So we're going to watch all these minions just for a second time. Just watch how many blue minions die before you get back to lane. If you had kept the turret up, the blue wave would have snowballed quicker and harder, and you would have been able to come here and collect. Now, Zed was getting chased, but there's a reason why we didn't watch that, because in this case, it's kind of not so important. But there is another missed kill here. Specifically right here. Rocking your Conqueror is super important, right? In this chase right here, where this is about to be like a full all-in, you want to auto-attack this minion right here, because that will get your Conqueror going. And it'll get it started. So if you auto that minion right there, and then land this E, by the time you reach this Mundo and start autoing him, your Conqueror's already going to be ready, and you're going to have it up right now, rather than still trying to work on it. So he ults under turret, and I think he actually flashed under the turret, and he just barely gets away. Just barely. So one more time, if you have Conqueror just a little sooner, like this would probably be the auto to start it, and then you stood just a little closer. This wall is keeping him pendant for now, but you stand a little too close to him. If you stand a little lower and body block his exit from getting out from behind the tower, and you have Conqueror sooner, and he takes one more auto from the tower before getting away, like right here, if you were to take one more tower shot and possibly 2 more Conqueror autos from you, I think that would be enough to kill him for sure. He gets away with less than 200 HP. So trying to body block him along with your wall, as well as proccing Conqueror just a little sooner, I think definitely earns you the kill. Specifically the body blocking now, because you could have gotten him with the body block without proccing Conqueror, actually. So whenever you're trapping somebody, try to use your character model and your wall. Keep someone blocked in. Make them try to go around you. And I think we actually fast forward. Not a whole lot goes on here. Yeah. We're going to fast forward to about 12:50. Now your bot lane's getting crushed right now. But we can do that. Now Sejuani finally comes top, and you guys crush that Mundo. Then you crush Kindred and Brand, and Lucian gets you. So this was all really, we're gonna go back there and look at this. This was a very good turn of events, but could have been slightly better. That's the important part. So killing Mundo here is just a really good gank from Sej, and you're controlling the wave well. So he's already low. Sej just slides in, and he's done for. This guy's just dead. So fast forward. Good tower taking. Brand steps up a little too far. Soraka ult saves you guys. Without the Soraka ulti, this play probably doesn't work. So it is important to note that Soraka ulti kind of made this possible. Otherwise, you probably would have been overextended. But it goes well. Sej dies, but you get more kills. And you're very stacked right now. A lot of gold. Now, I think you tunnel vision on this tower a little bit. Understandable. And then Lucian dashes at you. Try to turn, but he hurts a lot. You run away and barely die. Barely. And then Zed goes in. Lucian has heal. Zed barely doesn't kill Lucian. Lucian gets even more fed, right? This Lucian and this Brand are now officially like a big problem. But we're gonna look at this fight one more time because you could have killed this Lucian. Maybe not you, but you definitely could have done more damage to him, which would have helped Zed kill him.
Take what you will.
Okay. Watch it one more time at normal speed. Okay. So you're working on your Conqueror here. This is good. You generally want to start fights like after you've already been farming. Having your Conqueror ready is a huge part of why Conqueror bruisers are much stronger in a split scenario, because they have to have it ready. So here, you have it ready, and Lucian dashes at you. The moment he dashed at you, you needed to walk up and smack him with your shovel and try to box him in with your wall. But the problem is you let him get off too many free autos on you first, in a fight where you need to just be a little quicker. So right here when he dashes, if you immediately threw your E, W, and Q onto him right now, because you had time to do it, he's walking at you in a straight line, instead of letting him get this good first hit on you, and then you go in, your Conqueror actually fell off. Or no, it didn't, I lied. You just procced it, but you landed it and then didn't land anything else. Start watching it one more time. This is what I mean, where you have to proc your Conqueror with an auto first. Because you E him, and your ghouls and all that, you know, they do damage. But you want them to do true damage. You gotta hit him first. And you just barely die. But had you done just a little more damage to this guy... Whoops, I didn't mean to double that. Funky. But had you done just a little more damage to this guy, then Zen would have got the kill. And he might have even gotten away too. But now we are going to fast forward to... ...15 seconds from now. This is a bad TP. You're already partly on the way there, and you have a Trinity Force with boots, so you kind of run fast. You just used a 5-minute cooldown to 2 or 3 screens away. And I'm not even sure if you would have missed the cannon minion in this case. But you know the funny thing? You miss it anyway. That's a bad TP. You just wouldn't want to do that. You would want to run to lane and save it. We're going to fast forward here, because we don't want this video to be too long. We want to get to the important stuff. Doing some more split pushing, nice and strong. Now you got your Tiamat with no teleport. I think ideally here you would have gone bot, but there's a big wave top that you gotta get. No problem that you're not going bot yet. Okay, we're gonna slow this down for a second. Remember when I was talking about earlier, when that Lucian dashed at you and you should have went in on him immediately? You do that here. He just used his dash. Look how quick you turn around on him. That's what you should have done in that other play over here. And he flashes, so you guys just wreck him. He dies pretty quick. I don't think you had to use your flash for that, especially because he just used his. I think if you just orbed walk on him a little better, then he still dies. So you have some unnecessary flashes this game, but that takes time to work on. Fast forward. You get some good picks here. Good stuff happens. You go walk top one more time now. You almost have enough farm for your Titanic here, so I know why you're coming up here for this farm. This is all fine. What's not fine is when you have enough farm for your item, enough gold for your item, and you stay, and worse, you stay with no mana and continue to overpush. You were a caster champion, so you can't just not have. You sold your corrupting potion, so you don't have it anymore. You need mana to fight. You overextend without mana. This is really bad. You needed to just back the moment you had enough money to buy the Titanic, because this is really bad. You kind of take Soraka down inadvertently. But this is just another time where the Brand and the Lucian, who are already doing good, are just kind of getting more fed because you're overstaying a little bit. But you get the Titanic. And this is actually a really good push. This is where I think having the extra attack speed in your runes and having Demolish all combine to make this possible. But at the same time, you don't quite finish the job. So this is why I say Demolish usually isn't worth it. Kill the Kindred. Nice. You're doing a lot of good stuff. You kill Mundo too. Okay. Really good. And then here's, I think, where it all becomes not worth. You end up dying here. And you even get Kindred Flash. Awesome. But you didn't get the inhib. You needed one more auto attack to finish this thing. Whenever you commit to a push like that and you start hitting the inhib, you need to try to finish it or just get out sooner. You died and didn't get it. So we're going to watch the rest of this for a second. Waiting for you to respawn. Okay. For the next few minutes, or for the next minute, you actually wait in base for Spirit Visage. So we're gonna let this roll out for a second. Okay, so you finish the Spirit Visage. After that crazy push that you had, you sat in base and you had just enough money to buy one, which is insane. Like, you made 2,800 gold on that last push that you did. My only issue with this, we look at All Vision right now. You kind of willingly overextend here, and you get into a bit of a chase, but it actually works out really well. But here's what I have a problem with. You're continuing to do the split push, which I think is correct. And you buy Spirit Visage, which I even think is a decent buy in this scenario, because Brand is massive, and Mundo hurts too, and Visage is just good on you. But you get into a fight here, and it's all Lucian that you're fighting. This Brand doesn't actually hit you with a spell. You get away from it, and you end up fighting Lucian. If you had a different item, like maybe a GA, perhaps, extra long sword or something. Or just a GA, a little more AD and armor instead. You probably would have won this all in that you get into with the Lucian. And this actually turns out to be a very pivotal moment in the game. You'll see what I mean there. We're just gonna let this play out. So they just finished Dragon. Your bottom creating pressure, which is great, as the rest of your team struggles to fight 4v2. But we're gonna focus on you. So you get away from the brand. And you get away from the Lucian too. Notice how him putting you in combat sort of gets your Conqueror ready for you, right? So you put that wall there, and he chases you over, and Brand gives up the chase. So ultimately, this is where I say that Spear Fisters that you bought didn't exactly help you do what you wanted the Spear Fisters to do, because there's more. So you get into this fight with Lucian, and all this magic resistance on your Vista right now is kind of useless. Now you turn on him very successfully, but I think if you had a GA with like extra AD or a chain vest, you walk away from this healthier, and you possibly even kill him with the extra AD from a GA. But you get out from that chase, which is kind of crazy. And then here's another Overstay. Now I know you have Spear Visage, but ouch. Right? This guy's got Sork Shoes, Leandries, and Rylai's, and Electrocute. If I were you, I probably would not have expected that I would have died here either. But it's pretty close. It's the Electrocute combined with the Leandries that really sells it. But that's kind of unfortunate. If he would have had Ignite, you know, he would have. So this is just an Overstay, and the Spirit Visage, like I was trying to say, it didn't even do right, which is save you from Brand. So I think that Spirit Visage that you bought ultimately could have been a different purchase, even though it wasn't necessarily a bad one. So rolling forward, we got a few points left. I think specifically we have 3. We're almost done. Nice freebie. Okay, this is where it's kind of late game now, right? Once it's after 20 minutes and like there's an inhib down, you're approaching late game scenarios. So you push bot lane with your TP up, kind of a normal thing to do. We're gonna watch the rest of the team real quick though. Sejuani's currently dead, and the entire rest of your team they're topside, or they're in the base specifically. So if you look at the minimap right now, specifically I would say it right about now, you're in the middle of getting collapsed on. It's kind of good to push out the lane that has the super minion in it, but you just are going too far at this point. So if we back up all the way, you end up dying on this push, by the way. What you should be doing instead, it's good to balance this wave near your base, but you almost want to keep one of these super minions alive. Because if you keep it alive, just don't let it wreck your base, you're going to keep this wave on your side of the map, which is ultimately going to deny them a source of income. The super minion's going to keep it up here, and it becomes more dangerous for someone to come farm this. But when you choose to push it out all the way and then ultimately die, sure, you're relieving pressure from the bot lane, but this death is actually huge. It's a huge overextension from you again, and then they take Baron. And you also use Flash and still die, so that's another bad Flash this game. So instead of killing this super minion and then shoving this out all the way, you would want to just trim the wave. I would say probably don't cast your ult and just keep the wave balanced here. And then you should react and probably be defending your base here, rather than pushing out all the way, trying to split push. Trying to split push the wave that has the super minion in it, like, it just takes too long. You're sitting here whacking away at the super minion, and they're just thinking about how they want to come collapse on you. So this is just, like, you can't 1v4. You would have wanted to not shove out here to begin with, because you flash and you ultimately still die. These are really big, pivotal moments in the game for you. Gonna fast forward.
Shut down.
They take Baron. Okay, so Sej Engage is a really good fight here. It's good that you're already here and you're ready to collapse on it, because, like, this is it, you know? Two of them aren't even here. So this is a great fight. Goes really well for you guys. We're not going to watch it in detail because it's not all that important, except for the fact that I want to show how clutch you are at the end here. You do carry this fight, and you probably save the game here. If this Lucian lives with Baron buff, you guys lose the game. So we see how close this is. Very successful team fight on your part. It's not your team fight that I think is bad, because it's not. And we're going to see another example of that in this fight that's coming up, because you carry another team fight. So you're strong right now. I remember you said that you felt like you should have been able to carry this game. And plays like this are how you do carry, right? You sneak up behind people when they're not looking, and you prioritize priority targets. Talon goes in and dies. You're behind Kindred and she's dead. You swept in behind them when they weren't looking, and you carry another team fight right here. You pick out Brand all by himself. That's 2 for you. Then you come in, tank for Misfortune, and clean up a second fight in a row. Oh, I definitely think your team fighting is good. Especially when you're ahead. Like, you have a decent item build. The only thing that I see wrong with your item build specifically is that you have a lot of HP, and they have a Bork and a Brand. So I think maybe you should have gone Randuins instead of the Swarmogs, but it's kind of nitpicking. Because you're having a pretty good game, all things considered. But you wouldn't need the Swarmogs, in my opinion, if you had Lifesteal. If you had more Lifesteal, like in the Precision Tree. And then Lifesteal with the Randuins is more effective HP than Lifesteal with the Warmogs, because Lifesteal scales with resistances, not so much health. I think this is kind of the last big overstay and misplay from you, though. But we gotta see how it happens. Because, like, the one that happened, I think, is 1750 game time. We look, I think we can kind of already see what happens. You're already running out of mana, and you once again go off to split push by yourself at a time when your teammates are resetting. Or just not around you. So by the time we get the map down here, we see what's happening. Now, you being the strongest person on your team can't really afford to be dying by overextending like this. And it happens, I think, about 3 or 4 times total this game. If you're out of mana as a caster, that you already needed to be going back to base. Staying for an extra wave or 2 just to die is a really, really big mistake, because you're giving up gold and XP and shutdowns, etc. And specifically, you've been giving them to Lucian, who was already having a good game. So I think the game kind of ends off of that death, come back to life, but unfortunately, I mean, actually, you come back to life, and you come back to life just in time to defend your inhibs, actually. So it's kind of lucky. That I think that death should have lost you the game more immediately than it did, but you get a little lucky. Only problem is, this game is still kind of over. You guys sort of just walk into a bad team fight because they're still all very ahead of you guys and have the better bot lane. So the rest of this is kind of irrelevant, but we're going to see it anyway. You guys got Talon and they got Zed. But as you can see, the health bars are really not that close. Lucian's still full HP and Lucian's huge, so he kind of just kills you guys. You lose triple inhib off of this, and then they take Baron in the game. So this one's kind of over. We are going to look at how you guys got caught right at the end, though. but this is mostly the end of the VoD review. So what I would want to say just to focus on in general, as we watch kind of the last minute play out, is that I think you need to use Conqueror just a little better. Try to proc it before you cast your ghouls on somebody. Think more about wave control and getting your Trinity Force before you take tower, because taking tower kind of ends laning phase. Going back to that 9-minute mark where you weren't farming for half. I have your blue ward usage marked in notes. I think you used overall pretty well. How much of a burden you had to carry your team this game. So nitpicking there I think is not exactly valid. But I think where you messed up is your overextensions. I think the Spirit Visage probably should have been a GA. And I think in laning phase, if you get a little sharper with your Conqueror usage, you're actually going to kills. Because laning phase, like, you did good, but you could have done even better. And you probably could have picked up kills on without having to. So this game is pretty much over. They take Baron, they just... Oops. But I hope this is helpful. I tried to follow chronologically, and the timestamps are video description. So if you ever want to bounce back, just consider that the times in the notes are game time, and it's not just timestamp. So I hope this was helpful, and good luck playing some more Yorick going forward.